Okay, I'm recording. You good? Josiah, are you there? Is it me? Is this my podcast?
Now you know how it feels, Sam.
I was like, are you doing a bit right now? Because I was going to do a whole thing where I was like, I missed you, Josiah, but instead you made me do a bit that I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah. Now you know how it feels. Now, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yes.
Actually, I guess it doesn't, because you not only have you left me alone with the pod, but you haven't even listened to it. You don't even know what happened.
You could have, and I've said this before about the like really long, badly recorded interviews that you do at the end of the podcast sometimes, where like you could be saying truly heinous shit and I would have no idea. And so, yeah, I have not listened to the All the Small Things solo podcast that you...
It's 1 minute shy of 100 minutes of just me alone at the mic. And I got to say, first of all, I never really realized how much we need each other. I mean, it was crazy. I just kept saying sentences and then being like, oh, fuck, I have to say another one immediately after. There's no gaps.
There was no just sort of like normie support system that I typically provide for you.
Yeah, exactly. Or even just like,
man.
I realize I know that I'm very generous with my laughter. But there's no laughter when there's no one to laugh with. So it's just like me quietly not laughing. And it's been really interesting because everyone has chosen to weigh in on it. And it's been like, honestly, you know how sometimes people say like, oh, I did this project and the feedback was mixed, and you know that means like it was bad.
Yeah.
Like no one says it was mixed feedback if something's like all good.
When I see like a Wikipedia summary that says this film received mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, I know that's a bad movie.
Yeah, like my own blood, my brother Primetime 69 said to me, like, yeah, there was some interesting stuff in there, but please never do that again. And like some of my closest friends said that it was like way too intimate and uncomfortable. But then other people told me that it was like their favorite one ever. I don't know if that means they hate your guts or what.
Yeah, like that's rude for sure. It's like that. If you said on Twitter or privately to Josiah, and I will make him tell me that was your favorite episode of the pod, you're dead to me. I know whose side you're on now. And I'm keeping score. And by the time we get to episode 155, like, I'll know.
Yeah. Well, I think by the time we get to 155, whoever is the clear winner gets to murder the other one.
How are we scoring this, by the way? Did we agree on a way of
I think it's just like public opinion. The court of public opinion.
You have done 2 episodes on your own. I mean, like, no one really talked about the Stockholm Syndrome interlude episode, which I thought was like truly bananas. And that's just you, like, in Amsterdam muttering into, I think, like, your phone. Like, you recorded that.
Yeah. I mean, but let's be honest. That one was, like, kind of a half-assed bullshit excuse to make it through another week. This one was, like, a truly involved experience. Like, when I say that there was no room for silence, like, I think I noticed there was, when I was exporting the file, there was 150 audio clips that I like of times I had to pause and then start again. It took me like 4 hours to do. It was so pathetic.
I told you this in chat earlier. You know, I'm a little disappointed because in my mind, the idea of you doing a solo broadcast was like you were going to go full like Alex Jones, like just fire and brimstone, spittle, like shirt off, glistening. Just screaming, with a righteous fury about the worst Blink-182 song. And instead, it sounds like you kind of acted like a bit of a YouTuber, which like a lot of jump cuts. I don't know.
I was also like, I was trying to play up how sad it was, but I think it sounded too sincere because some of the feedback was like seemed very sympathetic towards me. Like, no, it was good. It's okay. So, I don't know, but along those lines, there is a little. There's something I glossed over. Not that you have any idea.
I have no idea. About. Like it's so strange to be this lost inside of like I guess a maze of your own construction.
Right, I know. That's also exactly how I feel, and I was there for it.
Yeah, like you did it. You recorded it, you edited it.
Yeah, it took so fucking long. And then, the worst part was it took like so long, and I just squeaked it in at the deadline. And then as soon as it went live, like 5 people were like, "There's no fucking way you're actually doing all the small things already, are you?" Like, there's just like immediately like the snippiest comments.
Well, because we had kind of talked about what to do with me being away, and like it had been New Year's. It was like the holidays, New Year's. Maybe you already talked about this. Am I retreading what happens in the episode right now?
I honestly don't remember. No, I just the narrative I put forward that I think is real is that you wanted me to do a song that you hate because you don't want to actually truly dislike anything publicly.
Oh, okay. That's actually a much better narrative than anything I could possibly say that would be
because it's true. But anyways, so like, and also the other thing you don't know is that we're gonna do an exclusive where I've written down about 50 covers that are like the deep cuts that I didn't get to. So you're gonna
50.
be punished with you're gonna be dragged into hell. Because the covers I did on the real episode are just ones that are like kind of by established artists, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So there's going to be a point where you will look back in the sand and see only one set of footprints and know that it was then that I listened to 50 covers of all the small things.
Yeah, exactly. but one of them that I did was a Kids Bop cover that's really like horrifyingly terrible.
Yeah.
And the singer of the Kids Bop cover. Do you ever listen to The Best Show on WFMU or whatever? With,
I like
Tom?
kind of tried to get into it, but it's like it's one of those things that it's like starting to watch The Sopranos or something. Like it's such a commitment. I know people that love it, and I love like Sharpling, and I love like John Worster. I think they're cool dudes, but I'm not like into it.
Yeah, me neither. And I find that you're right, and it's like ironic to say that on this podcast, but I do feel like there's so much like back referencing and research that goes in that, like there's like you have to remember
that is ironic to say.
But you have to remember some like deep cut late night 3 hours in joke that they made in like 2006 because then the newest episode, I don't know, it's like to me they seem like people who like Monty Python too much, like Best Show fans.
Right. Okay. So just out of curiosity, then, what do you think we seem like, Josiah?
I don't know. I'm hoping that we're more of a like high school jock version of that or something, or like
right.
I don't know, something a little bit shittier, like in a more bro-y kind of way. We're like
you're right.
The
this is
Chapo version
definitely. Yeah, this is like the broiest podcast for sure.
Yeah.
We talk too much about Kimya Dawson for this to be a jock podcast.
I don't know. Anyways, so apparently, friend of the pod, early adopter friend of the pod, Marsden texted me and said, "I cannot believe you didn't mention this." And then my whole world shattered because I missed something in my otherwise completely comprehensive 100-minute episode.
100 minutes. 100 minutes of just you. Like that's the other thing is it's not like it was half the length. Like you managed to fill the same amount of time.
I actually think if you weren't there were so many things to talk about that if you were there, it would have been like a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, well, it's for the best.
So, anyways, Marsden said to me, "I can't believe you didn't mention this up on the episode." Anyways, apparently there's a long-standing rumor that Tom Sharpling is the man singing the Kids Bop version of All the Small Things.
Really?
And they've addressed it on the show, and he sort of addressed it. I'm not going to play the clip because there's so much to get to still, but he addressed it on the show, and it's done in such a way that's so dry and humorless that everyone took it totally literally. But I think he's being sarcastic. I don't think it's him. I think he's being sarcastic. Either way, along those lines further, there's someone who calls into Best Show all the time named Matt from Oakland. And it's someone who says, "Yeah, I'm in a huge mainstream pop punk band, and you would make fun of me if you knew what it was. But I like tons of other stuff, and like a lot of people on Reddit think that it's Matt Skiba, and it kind of sounds like Matt Skiba. So he might be a regular caller into the Best Show."
Wow. So for a guy that said that the Best Show was for nerds, it sounds like you know a lot about the Best Show, and also that we are guilty of creating our own elaborate web of like, oh, well, if you didn't listen to the third hour of the Can't Get You More Pregnant episode, you'll never understand the rest of the podcast.
It's complete. I'm creating the same thing, but I'm not necessarily proud of it.
So do you think like at the end of the podcast, it'll be like Lost, where people will ultimately feel that all of the clues that we've been, leaving behind on these ultimately, I guess, will this be tens of thousands of hours of just like useless drivel that ultimately kind of led to nothing? Or, or are we really going to try to like bring it all home eventually
I think,
in like 2.5 years?
I got to say, I think that we come at it from such a sincere place that all these little magical things always happen anyways. Like we figure out why pop punk and baseball and Star Wars are the same thing, or like these little like things reveal themselves.
A huge
to us.
moment for me.
Yeah.
This is a podcast that's dedicated to truth. Like, who is the winner, me or Josiah? And I guess what do we do, like a Twitter poll or something at the end of all this? Like, how do we? We need a point system, because I can't just accept like an arbitrary like. It can't be like boxing where they're just like one of you won. Like that's why boxing sucks.
I guess it's like who's the one who's like carrying the podcast every week, no matter whether they're in town or not, or like.
Right. I can't wait to do a solo pod. I guess so. I'll have all the small things exclusive. That'll be my own. But like,
I was thinking that, but then I was also thinking
now.
I kind of want to do the exclusive with you still. So we'll see. I really like showing you stuff. I've written down 7 different ska covers of all the small things.
I honestly like I'm gonna be just really real with you right now. Let's pretend that we're not both speaking into microphones for the purpose of publishing a podcast.
Right.
I think you have a problem. Like I
think you're right.
Yeah, like
I don't know what else to say. I think you're absolutely right.
Because again, we've been talking now for like, over 10 minutes about a podcast episode that I haven't even listened to. But I did sort of ask a couple of friends who I know like listen to the pod kind of regularly if they had a chance to check it out, because I knew you were going to do it, and tried to kind of get a sense of like, if it did it work, because it was such a strong idea, and the consensus by and large from I think people that we both know in private is that they were very concerned about you. That like,
there was a lot of. I think friend of the pod Nicole sent me a text that was like it was like this sort of like weird esoteric statement. Like it was like, oh, that podcast sounded like it could have been from a different universe or something, and I just laughed. And she was like, by the way, that's supposed to be a compliment, but like I feel like if you have to explain that it's a compliment, it's maybe not necessarily.
It's just the idea that you took what was already like a truly like ludicrous idea and somehow like made it more uncomfortable. Like you stripped away the idea that it's like you and I chawing and like we have this like fake friendship where like I don't know if people who listen to the pod like think that we're pals, but we basically like we talk for 2 hours every week, and then otherwise like we have like nothing in common.
Before this had basically never hung out. Like maybe 3 times. Three times we had hung out in a group.
Wife of the pod, Ashley. We used to watch MythBusters, right? Like back in the day, and I remember when we realized that the two hosts like basically hated each other. Like that it was so disappointing because they seemed like so friendly on the show, and she was like, it's so sad. They seem like real friends. And I want people to know that that's 100% the relationship that you and I have, which is like we do this is a job.
The myth busted.
Exactly.
So many people were like, I thought you guys were homies from way back in the day, and I was like, first of all, don't use AAVE when you're talking to me. First of all.
That's right. Yeah, because you have an identity politics podcast, and so you
yeah. I don't know. I think like you want to do this DJ night where we do Adam's song on a loop, but I think that All the Small Things podcast should be like playing in an art gallery in like an isolated room, just on a loop.
Yeah. I mean, just to be clear, not only do I think that we should have a night where we listen to only versions of Adam's song, I came up with a name for it that I'm very proud of, which is a DJ night called Adam's Songs. And that's where we will listen to it, and that'll be happening in Toronto in September 2018. So mark off the whole month in your calendar.
Yeah,
we'll We'll have our DJ night where we just listen to like
I
big
gotta
chain
say,
smoker versions of Adam
you're-
songs.
This is blowing my mind that you have never had an easier song to transition into the start of the episode, and yet you refuse to take it.
Because I'm just enjoying myself, man. We haven't, you know what? I felt like, I was trying to think of like an accurate metaphor to describe it, but like you and I haven't talked. Like I realized when I, called you up on Skype, that the last time that we talked, it said, December 29th, call with Josiah Hughes, 4 hours and 77 minutes or whatever the fuck it was. And I thought, I'm excited to call you. Like it's
I know it's true. This is sort of actually. I think this could be like a new form of online dating. Is that you just host a podcast with someone?
Start a podcast. That's a Black Mirror episode. That'll be like the touching Hang the DJ or San Junipero episode of the 5th episode of Black Mirror, where it's like different couples of people are forced to talk about the entire discography of like various bands or the entire
or they have to talk about Black Mirror. It's one of those ones that closes out the season where it's like 90 minutes long and the podcast is about Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. Yeah, it's insanely meta, and then that's how you get coupled up. But I felt like and this is not. It's just, we're still kind of coming off the holidays.
And then at the end of the episode, it's like really meta, and because they're both British, at the end of the episode they're married. It ends the podcast part. It shows them as old folks growing old together, and the man says, "And that's how I met her."
Wow. This is like a UCB podcast.
Oh,
this is awful.
God.
So what I was trying to say, Josiah, is there have been times when this important task has felt like a burden, like that we're doing, crucial work for humanity, important, historical, sociological study here.
Right.
But like it took sort of being separated from each other, like I was away. I didn't have the internet. I haven't heard the new episode. We haven't talked about Blink-182 in like 2 weeks. And it reminded me of sort of like the way that like Kevin McAllister feels when, initially I was like, I made Josiah disappear. Like I made Josiah disappear. And for a while it's great. Like, I was hanging out with wife of the pod, Ashley, not talking about Blink-182 and just sort of free. And then eventually, you returned home and I realized that Josiah, you're the only thing that matters.
Oh, there it is.
I was excited to do this song because, as I told you earlier today, I think this song rips. And you responded not feeling the same way, Josiah. So how do you feel about the Blink-182 song, The Only Thing That Matters?
I wish I had a hot take for you, but I just think it's pretty lazy and generic. But I actually think this. I think the verses are okay, but the chorus is like so boring.
You know what? It reminds me.
And especially like the Skiba verse, I think is really good.
The Skiba verse is so great that it actually kind of breaks my heart that it's not in a better Alkaline Trio song, because there's, and look at, we've had moments, in fact, sitting where I'm sitting right now when we recorded our live episode for the Toronto International Film Festival in 2017 with the song Parking Lot, sitting across from each other, where I monologued at you for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, like off mic.
Yeah, yeah. Like literally, we finished recording the podcast, and I kept talking about Alkaline Trio, trying to explain my love of Matt Skiba and that band. And like that verse, it's like 15 seconds, and you just feel like this was a germ of a melodic idea, because it sounds nothing like the rest of the song. In fact, it sounds exactly like a Real Big Fish song, which we'll get to, I'm sure, at some point.
Right. Okay. I'm. Wow. You actually did some research, or just knew the song already.
See, that's the thing, is that's not research, my man. That's just years of listening to the Fish. And like, it just feels like it feels, at least, especially in the second part of the Skiba verse, like that's a Matt Skiba melody. Like that's the shit that I love about Matt Skiba, and I hate that it's buried in like what is. I think it's a great song, but there's no denying that it's like kind of fillery.
So there it is. So there you go. So the truth comes out. No, and I think the Matt Skiba thing is like, you remember that Mark Hoppus song that was about National Lampoon's Vacation that was on that comp.
Yeah.
A couple months ago. This reminds me of that, where it's like, I do like that it's like the bones of a really boring, simple pop punk song, but then it's just so fussed over. And like the second verse being that like weird halftime syncopated drum beat is just like a detail that adding that kind of shit in does definitely improve it a lot. Where, you know, there's just a lot of details.
Well, otherwise it sounds like, and it's just a less sharp version, because like ultimately at this point in their career, they're just not writing as sharp songs, of like the Party song or Wendy Clear. Like, honestly, this feels like a song that would have not been good enough to land on the second side of Enema, but it definitely kind of calls back to that era of the band, but in a way that in an actual apples to apples comparison is kind of like limp and listless, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you've already kind of name dropped some things, but the reality is it's such a simple and generic song that people who maybe don't play guitar or don't write songs, like, you know, when people look at music without understanding how to play it, they have a different understanding of it than maybe if you know how to play guitar.
Yeah, like smart people like us is what you're saying.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
Fools and ingrates listen to music like dummies.
When plebs look at it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When the proletariat that haven't had the fine musical education that you and I have enjoyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Check your goddamn privilege, Josiah.
Anyways, when dumbass children listen to this,
yeah,
they seem to like. There's things that they latch onto that aren't just like, this is like pretty much the main chord progression is the simplest possible pop punk chord progression you could do. But people have read into it that they think that it sounds like Saint Jimmy by Green Day, and they think it sounds like Bang Bang, and they think it sounds like, I've seen 3 different Alkaline Trio songs mentioned, and I've seen Angels and Airwaves, I've seen the other Blink-182 songs you mentioned, I've seen No Effects. Like, people just, it's so generic because it just sounds like generic pop punk, but everyone thinks that it sounds like something else. And I was listening, and pretty much none of them are true.
No, it sounds exactly like that Real Big Fish song. Like that that one's true. Like, should we address that out of the gate?
Yeah, I think we should. And also the funny thing about that is that it's so similar that it's even listed on that website whosampled.com.
Really?
And that makes me wonder, like, is it a sample?
It's
like,
well, because it's not just the melody. It's like lyrically, it's the same, right? I mean, again, this is the thing, is I haven't done the research, although I did grab the clips so we could compare them, because it was like, yo, I have a thing about this song. I know one thing. And then I actually, like, I have to admit something here. I knew that you had also found this because I wasn't able to spend a lot of time on Twitter today, but I did log on in time to see you doing some banter with Laura
right.
Lloyd.
From No Joy, yeah.
Yeah, from No Joy. I don't think
she's
she's a friend of the pod. Maybe she's got better things to do. But you basically made a reference to like, yo, I actually had to listen to a Real Big Fish song today because I'm doing research, and I was like, no. Like, in my mind, I was going to surprise you with this fact.
It actually did require a little bit of digging, though. Like, it's not right on the surface.
It's also a reminder, like, why I don't try. Because,
because I've just gone full, like fucking... I just turn into ones and zeros. I become binary code and like enter the internet.
You're basically the lawnmower man. Like, before we started this podcast, you were like a simple,
I was just a simple country boy. I was just like shovel hay.
Yeah, but now
fix cars. I was always restoring various mid-century cars.
Yeah, people might not realize this because, again, despite the fact that you constantly play video, the podcast is an audio medium. But since we started recording the podcast, you have actually made a full transition into the Lawnmower Man, where you're like jacked and you glisten, and you also appear as like a sort of rudimentary three-dimensional image inside.
To me, it's more like
the
hit Canadian children's show Reboot, where I like go into the internet and then there's just like CGI. There's like Mark Hoppus Vore and like furries fucking each other. So, there's furries fucking the Blink-182 rabbit.
Okay, so for people who don't like, was Reboot just a Canadian show, or was Reboot like everyone?
I think it might have aired in America, but who cares?
But I just want to follow this metaphor for a second because I'm excited. So it's just in case anyone doesn't remember. So Reboot was like early computer animation, but I think is generally regarded as like a pretty fun, cool show. So the idea is that all these characters
they're also actually rebooting Reboot.
Oh no!
Currently,
so all these characters live inside a computer, and periodically, like, a player outside of the computer loads a game, and then they all have to play the game, right? So they're like.
It was on Cartoon Network, so Americans may know.
So they may know. But I like the idea that sort of like every week a new Blink-182 song gets loaded into like you, and you are forced, like the characters of Reboot, to do battle with like furries in pop punk attire and whatnot.
Well, like as truly the biggest non-jock twee like fey wussy man, I gotta say my favorite Reboot factoid is that the penguin from Wallace and Gromit's The Wrong Trousers made an appearance once.
Wow, that is certainly a non-jock fact.
Yeah.
Only further cementing the fact that this is a podcast for people who loved Monty Python.
Yeah, it's for nerds. Let's be honest. It's for fucking losers.
There's no cool podcast. Like, it's not even like what's the jock podcast?
Joe Rogan, which is the fucking worst.
Right, yeah. Joe Rogan's for, like, jocks who, like, got, like, too high one night, though, and, like, kind of understand the future, which I at least respect.
Yeah. It's for jocks who went on they went backpacking one summer.
Yeah, or
they get the world.
It's for jocks who are like Biff Tannen at the end of the first Back to the Future, where like things have changed for them, and now they've always got to put on that second coat, and they're quite subservient to the nerds that they respect.
Well, regardless, so what you were saying is I've been softening to ska lately. There's someone named DJ George Costanza who used to be in this band called Extreme Animals. I think I've mentioned them on here before, but it's related to Paper Rad, which is like an early internet irony sort of animation thing. But anyways, he did this mix called I forget what it's called. It was like a third wave ska mega mix, like 20 minutes, just like ska hit after ska hit. And I listened to it, and it was sort of like had this modern internet irony veneer over it, and I was like totally ready to be into ska again. And then I put on this Real Big Fish song earlier, and I was like, oh fuck, it's happening. It's like ska time. And then even this morning, the Share Zone tweeted about how ska is going to be big in 2018. Like, I think it's really like it might be ska season.
Dude, we've talked a lot about emo revival and how like it's bad, but I think the fourth wave ska revival is going to be tight as hell.
As long as they don't go like a Mumford route and try to be like traditional ska, it needs to be like dumber and bigger somehow. Well,
dude, I will say this. I don't think that's going to be a problem in 2018. Dumber and bigger is basically the only way that this planet rolls at this point.
So Real Big Fish to me was like a secular version of Five Iron Frenzy, who was my shit.
The only good Five Iron Frenzy song is their cover of Beautiful America from West Side Story, which is honestly actually a very good cover.
Oh my God. So you're describing a cover of a song from musical theater by a third wave Christian ska band.
Yeah. What?
That's amazing.
It's a jock podcast.
That actually is like so incredibly pathetic that it makes you tough for saying that. It's like peacocking.
Yeah, truly. I mean, also Real Big Fish do a great cover of There Is Nothing Like a Dame from South Pacific. So covering musicals was like who starts that trend? Like and those aren't like cool. That's not like doing everyone fucking covers Phantom of the Opera because it's like basically a tragedy song, but like the idea of doing like real, like proper classic musicals, that's tight.
I'm sure. Let's not go down the path of what I'm tempted to do and search ska Hamilton covers. But speaking of ska covers, in terms of cover art, I will say I like that Real Big Fish has the same 90s font as Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. It really is, again, softening me to wanting to get into this.
Well, I will say this. This Real Big Fish album that ultimately influenced Blink-182's California, and in particular this song, it's a good record. Turn the Radio Off I can put on, like, there's some ska stuff in my past. Like, I'll admit, I got some skeletons in the closet.
I'm sure they're not as bad as mine.
Yeah,
because I go deep with the Christian ska.
It's worse than just liking one West Side Story cover. But like, I remember getting into this album, and that's also I think why the melody is so ingrained in my brain. Because at the time that Turn the Radio Off came out, MP3 downloading wasn't really a thing yet, and I had just discovered MIDI files and like the ability to like download MIDI files, which were comparatively very small. And so I had like MIDI files of like Nirvana songs and honestly, probably some musicals. And I somehow came across a series of Real Big Fish MIDI files, and I'd never heard the band before, but I downloaded all these Real Big Fish MIDIs, and like the songs were so sick that I ended up buying the record. So I bought the record that this song that we'll eventually get to was on, based on illegally downloading, although I guess they weren't illegal downloads, based on discovering and enjoying MIDI files of songs like, this song's called All I Want Is More, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, should we kind of, I'm sure there's more to this, but should we kind of play them instead of, like, just talking about, like, Hamilton?
let's just fucking circle the drain.
Okay, so, like...
no, let's play it. I'm just joking.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let's hear it, and then we'll keep talking.
So, this is, maybe you've probably already got this queued up, but, like, I just want to pretend... God damn it, can you just let me pretend that I fucking work on this podcast?
Wow, Sam, well done.
I saved it with the time code and everything. So,
actually, I didn't queue up the actual Blink-182 part, so that's good.
It's important.
I assume that our list, like, I always tell people listen to the whole song before because we don't want to get sued.
But do you say that to people? Like, you don't say that on the podcast, and I think there are people who listen to this who don't know you in person.
I've been contacting every single listener personally. I have a Chrome plugin that reveals their data.
So, for the purpose of comparison, because I have queued up and sent to Josiah because I did research for this episode because I was excited. This is...
What timestamp you got on the Real Big Fish so we can do a quick transition? I'm at 55 on there.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I got 57, but it's kind of the same.
I wanted to do a little bit of ska pre-roll.
Yeah, you want to make sure people get the vibe. So first let's hear... This is like the beginning of the Matt Skiba verse on Blink-182 is the only thing that matters. Let's listen to the whole Matt Skiba verse, even though we probably shouldn't, just because... no.
Don't tell.
Okay.
Don't tell him that we're doing it.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
God, it's so fucking good. Okay, and then this is from the Real Big Fish song, All I Want Is More.
Good work, Sam.
Thanks, man. Hey, I like that. My default was to sing the rest of the Real Big Fish song.
When I was alone with that earlier, I was like, maybe I'll get into this. And then right now, hearing it with sort of imagining people witnessing me listening to it, I felt really embarrassed for wanting to like it. I think ska is just sort of like about shame and how much shame you can handle.
I think for people who have been listening to the podcast for a while, I think they're generating an understanding that like you are motivated, and like I feel like a foundational part of your personality is shame. Like it's the whole Hughes clan.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a Christian thing. Like I think people think of it as guilt. But guilt and shame are like shades different, and you are afflicted, my friend, like truly afflicted.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of it in terms of being a moral kind of shame, but I think you're right. It truly is a moral shame that I feel when I hear ska and enjoy it.
So, what's funny is I have a very distinct memory of like the first time I listened to California. Like I was like walking around doing some errands and shit, and I was standing in line buying like some groceries when this part of the Blink song came on, and like that Real Big Fish album was like an important record for me. Like I really did play the shit out of it, and like I worked at Bandcamp, we covered all those fucking songs, and like it fired every cylinder in my brain. I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And then I went home and I listened to the Real Big Fish song, and I was like, maybe I'm exaggerating how similar they are. But like listening to them now, it has to be a direct reference, right? Like it has to be.
Well, there's a lot. Yeah, I think there's no way that it's not a direct reference, but like, is Matt Skiba friends with Real Big Fish? Is it a nod? Did he just steal it? It's really hard to know. And it's confusing because like, I don't know if you saw this because you didn't have internet apparently, but quote unquote didn't have internet. So you say.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't quote unquote listen to the episode that you recorded alone.
Right. But like in the last week, there's been this lawsuit where Lana Del Rey says Radiohead's lawyers are aggressively suing her over one of the songs on her new album because it has the same chord progression as Creep, and like the main melody is like not totally the same, but it's similar enough that they're aggressively asking for 100% of the profits. And then there was that what is that Robin Thicke Pharrell thing with Marvin Gaye?
Marvin Gaye estate, and then there was like Sam Smith and the dead one. Yeah,
the dead guy. No, but exactly. So we're sort of at a point in history where like, especially with rock music is almost having its own like sampling crisis where it's like, can you do a nod to another rock song without some fucking lawyer showing up and getting mad at you? And I assume the people from Real Big Fish could probably use some of that California money. So
no, dude, they made a lot of money from the success of Sell Out and also their appearance in the film Basketball.
Yeah, I mean that is really cool. But honestly, I don't know. Like,
don't do that.
We've already talked about Basketball a lot. I want to know: do they have legal recourse here to do something about this?
I mean, I guess the only way to find out is like, you know how like when a drug manufacturer, creates, some sort of drug, I guess, in this instance,
right,
that causes problems for a lot of people. And so they put together a class action lawsuit, right, where they say if you took, Balaxapan between, January 2015 and March 2017, you may be eligible to join this lawsuit. Real Big Fish have had a lot of members. Like, at some point, like, there's just horn players cycling in and out of that band. And so I wonder if we, as, like, privileged individuals with all kinds of Patreon money coming in, could put together a class action lawsuit on behalf of all of the ex-members of Real Big Fish and sort of test the waters. First you send a letter, right? And because have you ever been on the receiving end of a cease and desist?
I have. Yes, I have.
What was your first cease and desist, Josiah?
I semi-famously made those Justin Bieber Black Flag shirts when it was still somewhat funny to do that. And
you helped kill that joke, so I guess thank you. But
there was already a couple in existence when I did it, and people were like, "Oh, you stole my Lady Gaga idea," and I was like, "No, I didn't steal your idea, but also like it's not funny to begin with, but also." I just made like $3,500 on Etsy in 1 month.
Holy shit!
Who gives a shit? So
what was the peak of that for people who? Because like I remember that because A, I saw them everywhere, and B, like even though you and I aren't friends, I like sort of knew that it was a thing you were doing. But what was the peak of the popularity there? Like who tweeted it? Who wore it?
I just shared the image on Tumblr. I was just like dicking around one day. I made the image. And then it got like thousands of reblogs, and people were like, "I'd wear that on a shirt." So then I just made the shirt, and then I forget like how it happened, but it was like an early BuzzFeed thing, and then it was on MTV, and then like it just started snowballing, and then people were saying that it was like the shirt that killed punk or something. I was on Much Music talking to that blonde Aryan boy about it. What's his name? Devin something?
Yeah.
You know that Aryan boy?
He's a sweet Aryan, yes.
I've talked to him.
Salt and Deek.
Yes, and then we used that money for our band at the time, Grown Ups. We helped like finance we opened for Fucked Up, so we like toured Western Canada with them, and then Damien was wearing one for a little while, and I don't know, I can't remember. Oh, sometimes I still would get like, even a few years ago, I'd get like press releases at work where like some joker in the band was wearing that shirt in the press photo, like thinking that he was so fucking funny. I admit that it wasn't that funny like 1 week in, but I was making so much money off of it that it was like I couldn't stop. But the thing is, like, we posted it on Etsy thinking, oh, we'll learn how to silkscreen, we'll do it like DIY. So we did that, and then it like went viral overnight, and the next day I had like 80 orders, and I still didn't know how to silkscreen. So we had this like hellish weekend with our friends, learning how to silkscreen together. But anyways, so basically, stupidly enough, I had only linked back to the Etsy all the time. I didn't link to like my Tumblr or anything else. I only linked to one Etsy page, and I got a cease and desist from SST Records.
Wow.
But they sent it through Etsy's internal messaging system. So like SST must have signed up for an Etsy account just to copy and paste the cease and desist.
That's sick.
And I was like, there's no way this is legally binding, but then Etsy just shut me down anyways, and then that was that.
Can I tell you about my first cease and desist?
I would love to.
So it involved a few friends of the pod and wife of the pod. So in back in the day, Ashley, Nicole, Justin, like basically everyone that we talk about on this podcast, we all worked for a website called Ox. And one of the things we did was like try to make like weird like web app things to amuse ourselves and experience like a degree of viral notoriety. So we had kind of two successes. One was called Nickel Block. It was basically a Chrome extension that would just like erase Nickelback from your computer. So like
so rude.
It's very rude. That was later on adapted and reskinned as something called Chris Brownout. And the idea obviously there was that it would erase Chris Brown from the internet. But truly
erase a person of color. Okay.
Yeah, look at I'm not saying it was good. I did do like radio interviews for that one though, and people got mad at this one.
Was it like I feel like that because I also wrote for Ox with all y'all.
Yeah,
and I feel like back then it was a lot easier to like go viral in a way.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's like I don't know, the internet was a smaller place or we were more creative. Like I don't know.
Right.
But so my favorite one was we made something called the Skrillex Machine, and so this was like based on we just sort of stole the idea from someone who had made like a sort of World Cup machine that was like, remember when they did the World Cup in South Africa and vuvuzelas like were all the rage, and so if you watched any World Cup game, there was just this like hum of people playing the vuvuzelas, so just every game was just like in the background for like the full. Totally. 1,000 hours, however long a fucking soccer game takes. And so it was the Skrillex Machine, and so the you go onto it and it was all skinned, and it said like never not be dropping the bass. And this was when like bass drops were like really funny. And so the idea was you could enter any web address and then subsequently kind of surf the entire web with like a massive stack of speakers in the corner of your browser and a constant bass drop happening. So like you could go to, nytimes.com and like read about whatever wackiness, Barack Obama, was up to at that time. And it would just be like, and we thought it was very funny. And it was quite successful. And we got a letter that was addressed to myself, addressed to Ashley, wife of the pod, and addressed to the CEO of the company, Raja Khanna, from Skrillex's lawyers. That was like 2 pages, and it was like it was a cease and desist, but it was also like very rude. It was like it's obvious that Ox would have had no luck with this, incredibly not funny idea for a website without piggybacking on the success of our client, Mr. Skrillex.
Aww.
And so we had to take it down. We turned it into like the dubstep machine or whatever. But for a long time, we had this cease and desist because it was like it named it like it had our names. It was like a proper ass. It was a letter. It came in the mail. And so what I'm saying is we should do that on behalf of all of the members of Real Big Fish, and send a letter to Jay Felds and say, it's not okay what you're doing, because like. Maybe it came from him, because like Goldfinger and Real Big Fish, it was like Goldfinger, Real Big Fish, No Doubt, like those were all like the SoCal ska bands at a time, like Sublime.
Even
right?
just scrolling the members section quickly of Real Big Fish, I see they've shared some members with Goldfinger. So
maybe it's not a Matt Skiba joke, because like Skiba would have been like a Chicago boy before he became like proto kind of like beach goth.
Like I don't know if I've seemed like I'm against Skiba in the past. I'm not really against him. I'm just indifferent. But I do think that he seems like he would have been a little bit cooler than to be a big fisher.
No, he was too busy like pretending to be into Non or whatever. Like he was like flirting with like, esoteric, like occult Nazi tinged imagery at the time that Real Big Fish was appearing in Basketball. So I think this might be a Jay Felds tip of the hat.
Well, okay, here's another. Well, actually, before I get to the next point of that, there is another song that someone said that this sounds like that I thought it was worth writing down.
Okay, well, wait, before we get to that, can I just say what I realized here in playing them, even from where they are, is it's not just the melody. Literally, the hits leading into the melody are the same. Like they both do that ba 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 ba. Like It's the exact
Well,
same.
aren't the lyrics also the same?
Yeah, the lyrics are the same. The hits leading into it, like it's a clear reference. But you're right, it's weird because it's not like they're. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I don't have the actual liner notes. I did have the CD for a little while, but I don't have the liner notes in front of me. But I don't know. Like when you look up the songwriting credit of the song, no one's mentioned other than these four, and there's like pretty in-depth songwriting credits on other songs.
So they did do like the Taylor Swift thing where they just like named Right Said Fred to because that's also become a thing, right, in contemporary pop songwriting.
Exactly. That's what I thought it would have if there was like, I don't know. They'd name like Ryan Reel or whatever the guy's name is.
I almost can remember the name of the guy from Real Big Fish, but I want to say it's like Aaron Brophy, but it's not Aaron Brophy because Aaron Brophy is like, the former editor of Chart. Who is it? Aaron Brophy?
I don't fucking know.
All right. Well, I'll look it up at some point and pretend that I just remembered it.
And then just edit it in.
Yeah.
I will say there are a lot of things. Recording a pod alone, you can be like, oh shit, I should have put this paragraph in there, and then you can just like rewind and cut and paste and insert it in, and then you sound smarter.
Oh, by the way, the singer of Real Big Fish's name is Aaron Barrett. I didn't have to look that up. God, he looks like he sings in a ska band, eh? Holy fuck.
So I almost had another horrible sidetrack on my day on Blink-182 Reddit when I was reading about the song. Somebody said that this song reminds them of the music from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Oh, this is
level 1.
God damn.
And so I looked up the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack, and I realized so many like video games from the 2000s and onward have like fake pop punk soundtracks, and it's great, and I love it. And so I found myself previewing like at least 15 songs from the Sonic soundtrack.
Of course you did.
Sonic Adventure 2.
So a little bit of a like behind the scenes for people. It's like earlier today you messaged me like we picked the song and you said, "Oh my God, I'm finding the weirdest shit," and I responded, "When are you not?" Because like every time we record an episode, you're like, "Oh, I didn't realize how many fucked up things there'd be," and then you inevitably are like, "I listened to hours of Sonic the Hedgehog recordings."
I think that's why you are being more sidetracky today, because you're worried about what I'm about to put on you.
I'm terrified. Okay, so put it on me.
This isn't
man.
really that bad, but somebody thinks that the song reminds them of that. They think that the song is a nod to this.
Why do you waste my time with this? Like, why do you do this?
That song is sick.
Like, yeah, sure, it's sick, but like, dude.
I'm just... all I'm saying is it would have been... This is what I'm talking about. I should have copied and pasted that earlier when I was saying people will just hear a bass line and then drums come in and think it reminds them of another song.
Yeah.
That's where that would have been a great segue, but then we had to talk about fucking ska lawsuits for 2 hours.
Well, it's only been an hour.
Let's talk about Skiba's lyrics.
Oh, let's.
Well, wait. Actually, first of all, one thing I noticed that's weird about. Oh fuck, I'm falling apart here. I've skipped I got so excited to talk about Sonic, and then you got mad at me, and I got all confused.
Sorry, we can go back, man. It's fine.
Okay. First of all,
yes.
back to talking about Feldy.
Okay.
There is this song-by-song breakdown by Maria Sherman on Fuse TV that we continue to go back to. This is what he said about this song, okay? I'm just going to read you his quotes from Fuse TV.
Okay.
We can talk about it. Feldy. Collectively, we all hated this song up to a certain point. Then all of a sudden, Mark rewrote the bass part and we all loved it. One day, it just turned into this song. Mark originally had this cowpunk social distortion, but in the countryest way that none of us felt a connection to at all. It had this yee-haw vibe to it, but none of us hated the music or the melody. We just didn't connect to it then. Mark had the song mapped out, and then he went back and rewrote the whole thing, and it became a song we all loved.
What?
So this...
I just don't, I feel like every time we talk about a California song, you have some quote from him where he's like,
It seems like he's talking about the wrong song.
Yeah, every time. It's like, this song had a real, like, early Sinead O'Connor, mixed with Ministry vibe. And, like, we thought, like, let's make Al Jorgensen proud. And you're like, what are you talking? And then they all just sound like this. It's insane.
I know. And, I mean, I was trying to imagine, I guess if you had, like, a shuffling drum beat, you could almost imagine what it would sound like as like a fucking whole. Like, do you like Social Distortion?
Yeah, I mean, I love a couple of Social Distortion records, but Social Distortion is one of those bands that the people who love Social Distortion only wear things that say Social Distortion, and I'm not that kind of person. But I certainly love I love white heat, white trash, and all the
don't care about that shit.
Okay, so
it's garbage. It's terrible. But from what I've heard of Social Distortion, I could almost imagine it having a shuffling drum beat and almost being like that. But then it's weird to me that we were describing that this song was just sounds like it was shat out and it's so simple. But the thought that it's gone through multiple drafts where it has taken on all these other shapes and then now it sounds like this. A, that's confusing. B, it makes me even more confused about who this Real Big Fish nod is coming from if it seems to have been written by Mark multiple times.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Sorry, I'm distracted. I've literally been just looking at photos of Aaron Barrett from Real Big Fish for 5 minutes. It's a true aesthetic journey, and I encourage everyone listening to the pod to kind of do the same. If you're wherever
That's
you
fair.
are listening to it, just kind of scroll through. I got to close that window now. Anyway, I don't get it.
Regardless, how can any song that's a hybrid of Social Distortion and Real Big Fish be a good song?
It's true. That's a big question, and I think the answer is I don't know. It's kind of fine.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking is, so Mark has written multiple drafts of this song. Why does Mark's verse? Why does Matt Skiba take over halfway through? And I remember when I first heard this, it took me a while to tell the difference between their voices, anyways, because they're so compressed. But Mark only sings half of a verse.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes it kind of sound like a bit of a nothing of a song. It's a lot of half-finished ideas and seemingly disparate ones. We've talked about this a lot, with any kind of California song, is they do a lot of Skiba takes the second verse, and in a lot of them the melody changes, and it's one of the I think one of the cool things about the record that at least makes it for all the critiques that we've continually thrown its way from our incredibly high and mighty place on this podcast, something that I at least return to because there's these moments that are really compelling. And so this is so weird because again, this doesn't feel like anything Mark could have written. So I don't
it does. Yeah, actually, what you're saying I agree with, but I think that would be interesting and good if it wasn't every single fucking song.
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
a good idea that they beat to death, and also it reminds me of One Direction is like that. One Direction pop songs, the stars almost always have the same order that they sing in every time. It's really odd.
Do you think that that's what they're referencing here? Do you think this song is actually an amalgamation of Social Distortion, One Direction, and Real Big Fish?
I'm trying to remember. I think Feldy might have worked with One Direction, actually.
Probably.
It's possible.
Yeah. That's fine.
Anyways.
Did you see, you know what? Fuck it. I got to say it. Have you seen the art for the Niall Horan solo album?
Let's see. I thought you were gonna. I was if Sam says something about a picture of the Real Big Fish guy, I'm just gonna hang up on him right now.
it's fair. That's the end of the pod. After everything we've been through, it's just dude, he looks like he's in a ska band. So Niall Horan put out a solo album last year.
Hang on, while we're on this, and again, you haven't listened to last week, but there's a long One Direction segment.
Oh, is there? So this is so.
But it's great. But I'm just curious, who's your favorite member?
I would be,
and who's your least favorite?
I would be trying to have an opinion to say I who's the one who's in
Dunkirk?
Yeah, Dunkirk. Who's that?
Harry. You don't even know Harry.
Yeah, I like Harry Styles. I like Harry Styles.
Yeah.
He looks like Mick Jagger.
He's the hot one.
Yeah,
he's the hot one.
But I like Zayn because Zayn is
Zayn blasts cigs. He's a badass.
Yeah. So Zayn is cool. Zayn's my number one because he's been on the cover of Fader, so he's cool. I like Harry Styles because I like Dunkirk, and I like that he kind of is just aping Mick Jagger. I think my most favorite is Lewis because I have no fucking idea what his deal is, but I know his name.
Lewis. I'm pretty sure he's the one.
Well, he's the one. So I was reading like a Nielsen report today about just like the music industry in Canada in 2017, and there was a little sort of infographic about all the members of One Direction and all of their solo projects, and it's like all of them had records that hit like number 1 or number 2 in Canada, or number 1 or number 2 singles, and then Louis Thompson or whatever his fucking name is like
Tomlinson, yeah,
number 42, like just the forgotten guy, and I love that.
I think he's my least favorite, not because of that, but because he's just in my opinion, he's very ugly. And I think that if you're gonna be in a adorable boy band, you shouldn't be ugly.
But he was half of Larry, right?
Yeah, he was half of the Larry.
So, like in that
conspiracy.
sense, so sorry. My two favorites are Lewis and Harry, because the whole shipping Larry thing is like so tight, and I loved everything about that. I just thought it was. Right. I thought it was like initially I thought it was funny, and then I thought it was like not like in a homophobic way, but just in a way where I was like the internet just does crazy things, and then in a way where I was like, oh, it was really nice. Like it was like I liked it.
Right. I mean, there's no way we can get into that right now.
Well,
but anyways, I was
oh
curious
my God,
because
this started because I was trying to say something about the artwork for the Niall Horan album, and I just want to finish
because the only reason I asked is because I've had a different opinions of Niall over the years, but I think I like him. He's in the middle now. He used to be my least favorite, but I like him.
Well, the thing
he's pretty cute.
The thing I like about him is this album is called Flicker, but the kerning on it is like really tight, and the eye is like has no eyes. So at a glance, the album kind of looks like Fucker. But
right, Niall Horan Fucker.
They also built all these promotional materials for it. So like, big like Niall Horan standees that they would have at like record stores and like at promotional events and stuff where they fucked up the kerning like even more. Like on the album, it's like very deliberately spaced. So it's like a little like Fucker. But if you like look at the promotional materials for this Niall Horan album, it looks so much like Fucker that you honestly have trouble believing that it's not on purpose. And that makes him my favorite. So I think they're all my favorite is basically what I've just said. This is like my top 5 Blink songs problem.
Yeah. But that's like the kind of trickery that Blink-182 should have done at some point.
Yeah. That's like, true. That's a little disappointing.
When the website Clickhole came out, their branding was always in lowercase, and I thought that it was a kerning joke that it was supposed to look like it said dick hole. Because it kind of did at first.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't see that. But I'm not clever like that.
I did. Yeah. I think only I have that juvenile brain.
So hopefully, like Feldy's taking notes from Niall Horan, and they're going to have more kerning humor on the upcoming Blink album.
So are we like still? Have we even started the episode yet?
So gotta say, the only thing that matters to me is kerning.
I know you've been so excited to talk about Skiba some more. I will say this.
It's good.
The verses are really good.
Yes.
His verse is really good.
Yes.
The chorus is such a nothing, and it's so useless. And also, his verse is so dark and about somebody who, like, fucked him over, and it's a true story. And then the chorus goes back to, you're the only thing that matters, you're the only thing that's real. It's like, how do those even work together?
I mean, it does. This song gave us this Skiba verse, which is melodically tight because it references my favorite Google image search, Aaron Barrett. And like the Marilyn Manson paintings line is just like so sick. It's so perfectly delivered. And the way the melody sort of drops down, like it, these songs are all pretty standard pop songs. And like, I don't know, but if you map them out, like the way that everything moves into the chorus is with sort of like generally like escalating energy. And just the way it just like drops and kind of like falls haphazardly into the chorus after this like big halftime moment of the like Real Big Fish reference is so sick. It's like so perfectly delivered. And Marilyn Manson's paintings are tight.
Well, okay, when I first heard this, I thought, like, are these motherfuckers seriously trying to make a joke about Marilyn Manson? Because I didn't know that he actually owned Marilyn Manson paintings. You actually told me that. I thought that it was just, like, because they make a Bauhaus reference earlier that's, like, totally doesn't make sense either. I thought that it was just, like, their reference book was so shallow that was all they knew. I didn't know he actually owned Marilyn Manson paintings.
So was it one of those things where like, did you not realize how like cool and satanic Matt Skiba was?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really know too much about him.
No, like he worships Boyd Rice, and like he probably owns like multiple Marilyn Manson paintings.
Yeah, well, like so the lyrics are, I don't know, I don't even remember. I don't have the lyrics open right now, but it's something about his TV getting stolen, and he gets like stabbed in the eyes.
Being
or something.
stabbed in the eyes, having your having your television stolen, and your paintings by Marilyn Manson.
And I was just like, that's such a lazy rhyme. But knowing that it's real is great. But it's also like, it's so literal. It's so weird. It's like he just is saying something that happened, and it has nothing to do with the song.
The thing in terms of like fitting something into a rhyme scheme that is bullshit, because like when I heard it, I was like, Matt Skiba probably has a room full of Marilyn Manson paintings. The thing that's shoehorned into that verse is that he describes his television as being a flat screen, which like. I bought my television like 10 fucking years ago, and like you couldn't not buy a flat screen television a decade ago. Like TVs have just been flat screen. That's just what a television is since well before this song was conceived, recorded, and released into the world. Like that's an unnecessary part of the rhyme scheme. So it's like, I don't want to read it. It makes me feel stupid, but it says take my flat screen television before rhyming it with Marilyn Manson.
So what would you put in there instead? Like my Bluetooth enabled television?
Yeah. Like take my Netflix television, because like that's what you use it for. Maybe I don't know. Take my man cave television.
Apple? Oh, my Apple television.
Yeah. Take my Apple television. That's good. Like there's all kinds of other descriptors where you'd be like, ooh, they took his Apple TV? That's fucked up. But also no one calls it Apple Television. They call it Apple TV.
Okay. Sorry. While you were doing that, I was
What just happened?
I was worried that a very esoteric note that's going to annoy you later was lost, but I found it again.
Oh, thank God. Do you want to just read it now, since we're talking about words that could replace flat screen in this song, since we're at that part of the podcast?
No. It's got to wait. There's a whole section coming. There's a whole section coming.
There's a whole section.
You were just I want to talk about the lyric video for 1 second, but first,
we should talk about the lyric video.
You were just saying something about like I forget what you were saying, like the vibe or something.
Yeah, I was saying the vibes are tight, man.
You were saying some like you were being a little bit more like sort of spiritual than usual talking about this.
I think I finished my thought. I think you were not listening, but I personally feel like I completed my spiritual journey through this verse.
But it reminded me of something I read on Reddit that I just pasted. If you scroll down a little bit,
okay.
Do you know about like? Is this actually real? Like, I don't know. Maybe there's probably like people who are podcast smart, as I've said in the past, who know about this. But synesthesia, where you see sounds as colors or whatever. Like, is that a real thing?
No, I feel like that's people who like are smoking weed for the first time or whatever. That's not. I don't buy it. I don't think it's real. But I'm familiar with it as like a concept.
Someone's going to get mad at us for saying that, but regardless.
Honestly, if you were a synesthesist...
I'm on your side.
Yeah, no.
Apparently Chris Martin from Coldplay is one, and that's why his album covers always look like Fruitopia commercials.
Yeah, that's why.
If you scroll down on here to Justin Gittleman Music, I feel like I've read this guy's comments on here before. He said that this simple pop punk song, Only Thing That Matters, he said... As someone with synesthesia, I see identical colors as Take Off Your Pants and Jacket for most of the song, blended with bits of From Here to Infirmary colors.
You know what it is? This is like the kinds of people who, what's the phobia that everyone like pretended they had for 6 months? Like the fear of small holes. You remember that? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I feel, to me, the one I'm thinking of is when people used to like when blogs would write those articles of like 10 signs you're an introverted extrovert, which is like everyone. Like that, isn't that everyone at some point?
No,
I don't know.
That's just you, man. Like you're the only one that wants to read a book, but also hang out with your friends sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, oh my God, that is so me. I'm going to share this.
Yeah. Sorry, the small hole thing was called trypophobia or tripop. Who fucking cares? The point is, this was a thing that like everyone pretended they had, where it was like there's all these images of like tiny clusters of things and like.
Well, this person, like someone took the bait and started talking to them about that, about how fascinating it is. They said, "Do you have projective or associative synesthesia?" And I guess you likely have chromesthesia specifically based on your comment. And then the person said, associative, yes, chromesthesia. They said for a baseline, it's just normal to me for a baseline to be so obviously purple or neon pink.
Okay.
So the color, so the vibe, the aura of this song, if you have synesthesia, is the same as Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
That reminds me
It
reminds me a lot of like somebody today. I think he's a friend of the pod. Maybe I think it was Tyler, friend of the pod. Tyler, maybe friend of the pod. Daniel, copying and pasting that like dumb Rick and Morty quote where it's like people who don't understand physics. I feel bad for them not enjoying Rick and Morty. Like if you literally look at the synesthesia Wikipedia page, which I'm doing right now, it has a big flag at the top that says this article cites its sources but does not provide page references. Like it's basically like this is fucking nonsense for fucking
right.
Sad nerds,
it's like when people
man.
talk about if whether or not squirting is a thing that exists. Synesthesia is like the squirting of the mind.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I don't know if synesthesia is real or not.
But according to people who pretend to have it on Reddit, this song is colored the same as From Here to Infirmary and the Party song.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Oh, it's not. It's not interesting.
Wow, you're so deep. Do you want to go talk somewhere more quiet? So the lyric video for this song is like pretty much a boring one that I think was made in Corel Draw.
But who made this? Oh man, who was making these lyric videos? Eh?
Well, someone said this to us, and I was looking into it on Reddit. I don't know if it's these ones or those weird like watercolor shitty ones, but one of the companies making the lyric videos is owned by Dexter from The Offspring.
No.
So like that, yeah, like The Offspring is basically making these lyric videos.
Okay, well, in that case, they're sick. I love them. I love them as much as I love bumping in my trunk.
The Offspring sucks ass.
Dude, I was listening to The Kids Aren't All Right today for some.
Fuck. That song's good.
That song rules. That song rules. Dude, Ixnay on the Hombre rules and Smash rules and The Kids Aren't All Right rules.
Only like The Kids Aren't All Right is good. That's the only one I'll give you. But
you don't
here's
like
what I wanted to,
it's fine.
Here's what I wanted to say about the lyric video.
Let's.
At the 10 have you seen what happens at the 10-second mark?
I mean, I can't recall the 10-second mark of the video, but I remember writing down that the lyric video was insane. So, yes, let's watch it.
Well, just you skip ahead and see what it says right there. The lyric video at 10-second mark says, "Keep calm and listen to Blink-182."
Yeah, that's the note that I made where I was like, I bet that made Josiah so stoked because this is like, I feel like you've let up on it, but for a long time on Twitter, you were quite obsessed with the proliferation of keep calm and such, like shirts, throw pillows, posters.
I also, there was, when I worked at Fast Forward, because my workload was so small, because we were a dying newspaper, I made a vow that every day I would do a new cover photo on Facebook, and I became obsessed with Keep Calm ones. And it's crazy because you can find like Keep Calm for anything. You can find like insanely specific racist Keep Calms that people have made. You can find ones that are like about like the minutia of what it's like to be a plumber in New Jersey or something. Like there's everything and anything Keep Calm. And I remember Jeffy from the band Transmitters, also from the band Newtown Animals. I don't really know him that well, but he's like a kind of older power pop punk guy. He's friends on my Facebook, and he's one of those like as you can tell if you've ever heard the Transmitters, he's the kind of guy who like is basically cosplaying the 1970s. Like he gets every detail perfect. He probably like is one of those guys who gets up at 4 a.m. to go watch his favorite football club play footy. But I mean, I love it and I respect it and I think it's great. But he got really mad. He didn't understand the irony. And I remember he like reamed me out one time for posting "keep calm" things because I wasn't respecting the history of the signage.
Oh, like he actually like loves. I mean, to be honest, it's like a cool. It's too bad because yeah, "keep calm and carry on" is like a pretty sick phrase to just like be posting around your country while bombs are falling. But yeah, it truly,
and it has a nice design to it too that I understand why people are attracted to it. But I actually think that a large portion of the world probably thinks that it's a phrase invented by the Chai.
Yeah. So just to be clear, when you were spending every day changing your Facebook banner, were they all keep calm banners, or that just became part of
it was literally a full year. So no, I found there's this website cuddlycomments.com that's like cat lady moms who make these like very low res images of like shirtless Johnny Depp that say like have a sexy Thursday and Thursday spelled wrong or stuff like that.
If I had like known all of this, I don't know that I ever would have suggested that we start this podcast. Like
yeah, I don't think you knew what you're getting into. I have like synesthesia with garbage from the internet. Things that aren't even funny or good.
Okay.
So anyways, for whatever fucking reason, they decided to open this. There's nothing else to the lyric video, but they open it with the phrase "keep calm and listen to Blink-182," and it's like taped to look all punk.
Yeah, and it's like it looks stupid, but it's like marginally kind of higher quality animation because then when the actual song starts, it basically looks like a really low rent karaoke video. And similar to, I can't remember what song it was, but there was another California song where like the lyric video like had the wrong lyrics. Maybe it was Los Angeles, but this is the same thing where it keeps saying like, because you're the only thing that matters, when it's like, they never say the "buh." It never appears in this song. Like those are not the lyrics to the song.
Well, I've got some good news for you if you don't like that lyric video.
Oh, yay.
I found a way better lyric video.
Yay.
It only has 39 views. This was published on April 20th last year. This is what I found.
420?
Yeah. This is the video that I had uncovered when I messaged you earlier and said I can't believe what I'm finding.
Okay.
I'm just going to go ahead and we won't listen to it, but you're going to need to take a look at this.
Okay.
You're going to need to start understanding what. So this is uploaded by Amfriend Simarmata on April 20th, 2017. He said, "This video is one of our activities. Fabio gets his teeth treatment.
What the
I'm a big fan of Blink-182. I made this video just for fun, so let's sing together. Thank you."
What?
So this is the lyrics of the song are pasted over this dark iPhone video where a young boy has an iPhone flashlight shining in his face. What looks like maybe he's in a lawn chair outside, while a man is doing a DIY dentist appointment on him, like doing a teeth cleaning with a sharp metal object.
Why are they doing this in the middle of the night? What? He's also he's in the lawn. He's in a lawn chair, but he's also got like a sort of gigantic like turtle stuffed animal that's like he's reclining into. So you can see his eyes, and then you see the eyes of the turtle as they're like, "What is happening?" This is like one of those videos that was part of the whole like kid video thing that like basically like led to even more advertisers pulling all of their shit from YouTube because there's all these like disturbing child focused videos. Like this is that, man. How did you find this? Why are you showing me this?
There's not very many uploads for this song. A lot of people say this is like an underrated song, but truly not very many people have covered it or done anything.
Are there any comments on this? This is fucked up, man.
There's only 39 views. I'm obviously going to download this and upload it. I don't understand. Fabio gets his teeth treatment. Like you can't. It's pretty blurry, but like, what is he actually doing to him? Is it just an electric toothbrush? No,
I think
they're doing light on it.
They're doing the thing where they like the cleaning the plaque off your teeth. So they appear to have uploaded a series of lyric videos that are all kids. This one's like also on the channel is Kygo Ellie Goulding first time lyric video, and it's just a baby, and then just the lyrics are on top of it. The baby's not doing anything. It's like less disturbing than the other. What the fuck? This is so...
So fucked up.
What?
There's a couple other Blink-182 ones. There's a parking lot lyric video.
What are they doing in that?
Oh no! It's just a boy sleeping. With the lyrics to parking lot over it.
It has 390 views.
It's just a boy sleeping.
Okay.
With fuck this place, let's put up a parking lot.
The contents and the description reads, the contents of this video.
I got to the last sentence before you. I'm sorry.
You gotta read it. I can't read it.
The contents of this video is Fabio's activities from he wake up in the morning until after the school.
But it's not. He's just asleep the whole time.
And we made Blink-182 song Parking Lot with the lyric as the soundtrack. Thank you, Mark, Travis, and Matt Skiba. Please do not report this video. And it has 4 downvotes and 1 like.
Why does he use Matt Skiba's full name? Yeah. 1 upvote, 4 downvotes. Dude, that was weird. I didn't.
So the lyric video for Last Train Home is at least a bunch of awake children in a classroom. So that's good.
Anytime you can describe children as being awake, I think
that's a good start. I mean, is the boy getting his teeth done awake? Yeah, he is. He's looking around, possibly in pain.
Oh, I hated that so much.
It's obviously immediately going on our socials.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, oh, fuck.
While we're in like this weird dark internet place, I'll play you the thing that I was worried that I lost.
Okay.
So you've talked long enough that you've sort of won the war here. I'm not going to play you a bunch of shit that I found.
Okay, sick.
There's not a lot of things called The Only Thing That Matters, but there's mostly very old white sort of Southern dudes covering a gospel version of it, like in churches.
Okay.
And it's very interesting. It's very like Mississippi Records sort of vibe, like very like actual real Southern music. That's not what I'm going to show you right now, though. So I was scrolling. There's like honestly barely any covers of this song. And then there's like just phrases with the only things that matter, like very dark vlog posts and very dark things like that with that phrase. Now, this is a video that it's called The Only Thing That Matters Is How We Have Learned. 3 years of Moose. And this video has 50 views. And it's a girl has made a sort of a romantic tribute video to her horse. So there's like, I'll play you some of the audio, but it's mostly just like vignettes of her horse.
Okay.
It's a day I will never forget. The day I made a promise. And our lives really began. Because of her, the most beautiful things started to grow. Success took on a whole new meaning. And the simple moments began to mean the most. Now I can't imagine my life without her. So much of what I take for granted.
It goes on for a long time.
What? So this is just a tribute to this girl's horse.
Yeah, but I don't understand the spoken word.
Yeah, who's
like,
the
romantic,
voice? Loving
part. And she's written in 2014. She wrote, "So on April 9th, it will make 3 years that Moose is part of my life. We've had loads of ups and downs, but now we are heading for better. Gave up jumping, and we are getting into dressage as much as we can. I can't wait to see what future will bring to us."
Is that like a disappointing turn of events? Like is I believe, isn't it dressage? Is that he?
I mean, yeah.
Come on.
Of all the things you're gonna make fun of, not knowing a horse term, I think is allowed. But she has some really good horse videos. There's one called "This Is Who I Am." You have a dream, protect it. We will fight to the last blast. I think this woman is in love with her horse.
I think so. She also clearly lost a horse 7 years ago. She uploaded
Yeah. You're right. Let's see what happened. Rest in peace, Mr. Angel. 1 month.
Mr. Angel.
Just run away from these lies.
Most of that video, the intro at least, was just like powerful zooms on the horse's ass while that Mike Posner song was playing.
Who names a horse Mr. Angel? Like, aren't all horses
that's
named like
dooming him to death?
Yeah, Big Lucky. Or like,
I think Moose is a pretty good name.
Moose is a good name for a horse. Like, that's a funny name for a horse, but like
it really has a dark, like that. The only thing that matters video about Moose, about how things are going to change, was the last upload, and that was 3 years ago. So like, I don't know what fucking dark thing happened.
Well, yeah. If anyone out there is like big into the horse scene, you can let us know if like Moose is a popular dressage or dressage horse or whatever.
I mean, I'm going to say it's not because that video has 50 views, but Mary Copain 12 was the uploader. And this is the kind of things that pop up when you just search only I even had included the word Blink. I searched only thing that matters Blink, and I learned all about this woman's loving relationship with her horse.
Anyway, I love so much that like your commitment to researching this pod, because this has happened on a few other episodes, just dissolves into you finding videos that use the same phrases, like, and that you deem them worthy of sharing not only with me but with our tens of listeners.
Right. Well, because you said that, I'm going to make you listen to one of the gospel guys.
Okay, great. And this is just an unrelated gospel song.
It's a gospel song called "The Only Thing That Matters." I just really like how this video looks.
Okay.
Like it just look at how that looks. It's so cool. It's just so cool. How do you even begin to describe what that looks like? There's like a child's painting of Jesus in the background, and then there's a shitty curtain, and then some like crooked TVs that say special music, a man who looks like he's asleep in the background.
It's very strange.
Then everyone's friend from high school's dad. Like everyone had a friend whose dad seemed too old and you weren't sure if he even spoke English. That's what this guy looks like.
Yeah, the painting of Jesus is very fresco Jesus for sure in this photo.
And Karen Griffin uploaded this in 2016 and it has 13 views and I've already watched it twice today. So let's just hear how William sounds.
Okay. You having trouble?
I think the music person in the church is having trouble.
Oh, okay. So
Oh no, hang on. Oh fuck me.
It's fine.
There we go.
Some people save their money for the hard times that's to come, planning for the future of their daughter and son. But when life's down here on earth,
Maybe this is the cowpunk version of the song.
How many Marilyn Manson paintings do you think William owns?
Yeah, good question.
Do you think he stole the Marilyn Manson paintings? Do you think that's like the layers of references in this song? So
That's
it's
who
like
Matt Skiba was dating, was this William
Yeah.
from this video that only had now 13 views. Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I think this, actually, wait a minute. Okay, something crazy just happened.
okay, this is live. This is live on Blink 155 right now.
I think, please let this be. So this video was uploaded
Yes.
on July 3rd, 2016.
Yes.
The album California by Blink-182 was released on July 1st, 2016.
Okay. That's.
So it's not really that good.
No.
And also the video was filmed in 2015.
Did you?
But anyways,
Do you seem like maybe like the kind of person that like when you saw Zeitgeist or Loose Change, you were like, "Yo, this is like, there's connections here."
like probably I would have if I watched them, but I didn't watch them.
All right, just checking.
Everyone was telling me to watch Hypernormalization last year, but it's so fucking long.
It's, again, I just would encourage you to sort of really think about that statement, Josiah.
Look, there's still a lot I want to talk about.
There's a lot?
Let me just show you one more horrible thing I found called Only Thing That Matters. Please.
We
Sam,
should add so we should do, before we do final thoughts, we should do a segment called One More Horrible Thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So this is it. This is one more horrible thing.
Well, we haven't done covers yet.
I thought this was in lieu of covers. Why are you
No,
playing
there's a
me all
couple
these
covers.
videos? Okay. God
Look,
damn it.
All I know is this guy named Jim Wolf sung and co-wrote this song with Diana Meyer. Look at the artwork. It's a negative image of a car that says, "I watched you drive away and I had nothing left to say to you."
Yeah.
It has 33 views, and it's so fucking weird, and I can't believe this. I just, it's so exciting to me to find these kind of weird fucking things with no views.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
You broke me. You broke me last week. Now I'm just literally lost.
I am not going to listen to the All the Small Things episode. Like, I'm not going to be pulled down with you. This is actually what In the Air Tonight is about. Like that thing where like I'm seeing you drowning right now, and I actually think unfortunately I am lending you a hand, and it's awful.
Well,
are we going to listen to it, or you just wanted to show me this? Like, what's fucking happening right now? That was actually sick. I actually really like that song.
I can't believe that I could find something that bad that was created in 2017 because it sounds like
that's actually
a
shocking.
1999 sort of like Lilith Fair wannabe sort of vibe.
Yeah, like I mean, minus like obviously like the singer's a little different, but if you told me that was like the first single from the second Dishwalla album, I would have been like, yes, totally.
Well, actually, there is a good reason why I just showed you that I thought of while I was doing it. Which that we sort of before we started recording, we did a little update about everything that's happened in the last week.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to tell you is that on the Time to Break Up episode, we made fun of those teen boys who had a band called Misnamed Thrill. I don't know if you remember.
We don't make fun of anyone, Josiah. We only punch up.
This was back then. You did your little performative like. Well, I don't think you should be making fun of these boys. Sort of like you said, there was a whole little thing that you did.
Okay.
And they had written on Facebook the phrase "big juicy cunt," and I liked it.
yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
One of our listeners went on there and wrote "Blink 155 brought me here" on that Facebook post.
Amazing.
And then someone from the band Misnamed Thrill got in touch and said like, "You totally were in your right to make fun of us. Every day is treat or trickin'." That's their lyrics of their hit song. And so they got in touch, and now they listen to the pod, and they'd like to come on sometime.
Oh,
so
sick! We should definitely have them on. Shout out to Misnamed Thrill, friends of the pod.
Yeah, so really we're actually not just talking, we're just discovering new music.
You understand,
so it's really,
we are just building the best show universe. Like there's like Misnamed Thrill is in there now. It's
Bill Billingsley.
Bill Billingsley. What's up with Bill Billingsley, by the way?
I wasn't going to bring it up, but Bill Billingsley, if you somehow are just tuning in, this is your first episode, it's not too late to stop listening and do something better with your time. But Bill Billingsley is this older man who is obsessed with Blink and obsessed with us. I'm going to drop a little... This was going to be a surprise for you, Sam, actually.
Oh, did I just did I just open up my presents too early or something? Like what's...
No, not quite, because, I mean, now everything's up in the air. But before... So you've been fucking up everything lately, because before the one where I was alone, there was an episode that we recorded on Friday that it came out late.
Right. Yes,
Remember?
that's true. Yes, do
I'm
you remember?
I'm not actually
remember.
mad. I'm not actually mad, but I'm just saying things have been kind of all messed up lately because of holidays and everything.
Right, but you're blaming me for that. You're blaming me for
well,
that.
Well, it has exclusively been you, but
okay.
Anyways, I for the first episode of the year, I tried to get Bill Billingsley to deliver a New Year's message to all of our listeners.
That would have been so nice.
Have a set off the year nicely with a New Year's message from Bill. Now, Bill messaged me back and said I was on the East Coast for Christmas. Now I'm back in California, but I'm like leaving tomorrow to go see Travis Barker on New Year's Eve, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So I was like, okay, fine, fuck, maybe next week. But then, ever since he saw Travis Barker on New Year's Eve, Bill Billingsley has completely disappeared from the internet.
Do you think he's too big time for us now? Do you think he like met Travis? Because I looked at his page, and it looked like he was going to get Travis's autograph. Like he had a hat and a pen and stuff. And do you think
And that's the last thing he ever posted. Like that is so. What is it's so sinister?
I think he's too. I don't think it's sinister. I think he. I think he's better than us now. He's ascended. He met T-Barks. And like,
I hope so.
Maybe
I
he's
hope
in his
that's the
entourage
case.
now. Like, I think Travis rolls deep. Like, Bill's probably just like hitting
now
the gym with him.
Now the Bill Billingsley narrative is like a sort of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego kind of thing.
Wow. Okay.
Because wait, where in the world is Carlsbad, near San Diego? That's where he lives. So that's the kind of things. That's how bad my brain is now.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing that's like actually truly related to the song.
Okay.
Sorry, I know.
No. It's
like,
great.
We've been missing each other, you know. It's like
I have actually been. You know what though? I'll be honest with you. As sort of, I think we talked about this on the pod, but like, who knows? Like, I don't know the difference between the pod and real life anymore. I'm still getting
Me
over.
neither.
I'm getting over a bit of a cold, and frankly, like, I actually just need to blow my nose. Like, I'm starting to like.
do it into the mic.
Okay, well, but I need to leave. So if you can, I guess.
You're gonna make me do a solo podcast.
Yeah, if you can just do like a
episode
solo, like just 60 seconds right now, so I can like. Okay. So this is Josiah, now alone once again, as you were born and will die.
again? Hey guys, so it's just me alone at the mic in this empty room. No one else is around. My cat's not even here. I'm completely alone in this windowless room, and there's no one here to keep me company. Sam is gone. He's disappeared to go release liquid from his body, apparently blowing his nose, but that could be a euphemism. You never know with that guy. And, it's just been a long day, and I'm just here waiting to finish this so that I can do some other shit with my day.
Did you do anything too weird while I was gone?
Oh, thank God. I was getting back into my sad character.
It's not a character.
It's not. It's not a character.
So, okay, what's your like one last thing?
Before I get to cover it.
Yeah, before the God. Yeah.
There's this guy named Little Red Guitars who it always pops up, but his videos seem a little bit too boring to actually bring up.
Yeah.
But for California, he's been doing this like sort of gimmick that has been getting him a lot of traffic, which is like adding things to the song. He's another song improver now, not just covering, but he's adding things to the song to answer the question, what if Tom DeLonge wrote this song?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
So he's made a video before we play it. I just want to talk about how frustratingly ugly his guitar is because it makes me so furious.
Okay.
It's like can you see that? I just pasted it. It's one of
Ooh,
these.
that's
like,
an ugly guitar.
It has no head. I think there's people in the comments are disabled for this video.
It's because too many people wrote about that fucking guitar.
There were comments on the Reddit post about it where people were like nerding out with him about fucking gearheads were coming out of the woodworks. But like this guitar is such a bad shape. It almost looks like Canadiana. I think he's American, but it looks like something that you'd get like in Banff at a gift shop or like it'd be on display.
It's very Banff, yeah.
And it has no headstock. It's just like a frustratingly ugly guitar.
And it's small, or he's very big.
I think possibly a bit of both. But yeah, especially when you hear, so he's trying to do like a throwback pop punk sound with this. So here's what it would sound like if Tom DeLonge wrote this song.
Okay. Yeah, I loved it.
I think that what he's doing is a little bit too, like, I don't think Tom is actually that much of a shredder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think it makes you realize, like, these songs really are missing those leads.
It's better. It's fucking better. It sounds wicked.
Yeah. So
sounded really disappointed just then.
It's not. I should have played you that before I showed you the boy getting his teeth done in a dark backyard.
just the please don't report this video. It's like man, maybe we should report that fucking video.
Yeah, I think that's the sign.
Like it's a real
the sleeping boy with the parking lot lyric.
Yeah, like if you're asking someone, I don't know.
So the two covers that I found that aren't just like someone doing a drum cover or doing a instrumental cover.
The two covers that are worth sharing. You showed me like 5 horse videos that just had like don't act like you're doing me a fucking favor right now.
If you want to do the research, then we can just watch the normie content. But if I'm in charge, we're going to some places, okay?
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying like the videos that aren't like someone in a room covered in posters of Mark Hoppus playing bass and it's really boring.
Yeah, okay.
The ones that are somewhat I don't know. I don't have to defend myself to you.
No. No. But to our listeners though.
Oh, well fuck them.
It's fine. This is the drop off at this point is steep, so it's fine.
Yeah, so there we go. This guy, his name is Jeremy Underground 41, and this video only has 35 views. You can take a look at it. I mean, this looks like it was shot in 1998.
Okay.
And yet it was released in 2016. I don't really I'm kind of baffled by it. But I wrote down that it was like sort of an accidental anti-folk sort of cover or like a folk punk cover.
Oh, okay.
Here's this guy doing this one.
Where the hell did you come from? From outer space I learned about. Show the way my love was the I can't believe my eyes are open. Find out before was such a man. There's no use dwelling on the past. My broken heart was in the cast. Then you shut up, all began. Cause you're the only thing that matters. Cause you're the only thing that's sweet.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say it sounds like Ghost Mice, and then I remembered that that's problematic now, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
I think
then I remembered, Josiah, that you know how like you've skewered me in the past on this podcast for like every person I mention or bring on, like a week later, it turns out is a
I mean,
total
we can just
creep.
stop the episode now. We can just stop the episode
No,
now.
no, don't you have one more cover, Josiah?
Yeah.
So-
yeah, let's move on to that.
So yes, I have definitely mentioned people on this podcast that then like literally the next day, it turns out these people are like not okay,
Right.
not good people. But it finally happened to you, Josiah.
It did.
And it
did.
brings me no pleasure. Like obviously this is terrible.
I think it does. I think it does bring you some pleasure.
I mean,
I'm getting that
admittedly,
vibe.
the first thing I thought of when this happened is like, fuck Josiah Hughes. So you have, in the past we've discussed, your work with Exclaim, your cover story about the film The Disaster Artist, starring, as of current count, I guess five women have come forward against your personal hero, James Franco. So
I didn't write that story.
I've never even seen that movie.
Yeah, that was yeah. I don't know. I mean, frankly, I don't know what to say.
Franco Lee.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not a joke, and so I don't mean to make a joke out of it. This is like just not to.
Yeah.
We don't need to level set. It's awful, but it is the first time.
But for those keeping score at home, Sam has named about. Sorry, Sam has named about 7.
I've literally
or so.
I've heaped so much praise on people, that seconds later have turned out to be massive assholes. So
Well, actually, Kay, I would like to say one thing since time is of no issue to us, But it did have me thinking a little while ago. There was this. I think it was when I forget who, maybe Kevin Spacey or one of the people, or maybe Dustin Hoffman, but someone on Twitter started a hashtag about let's talk about the times that celebs have been cool to us. That's kind of a fun exercise.
that's a stupid fucking exercise.
And then it went viral. And then it was it was a Twitter moment. These are all the viral times that celebs have been nice. But first of all, celebs are fucking sociopaths.
Every single one
they're-
of them, yes.
If your goal in life is to be famous so that you can milk people for more money, you're a fucked up person.
Yeah.
So
Also,
there's no
like,
way- like obviously they put on a mask to seem nice, and second of all, that's also what abusers do, right?
Yeah.
Like
no, I
it made
mean,
me really mad.
just even the idea of like, you know, I was thinking about this with like, you know, the Matt Damon, like not all men shit. And it's like, people are like, oh, Matt Damon seems so cool. We're like, yeah, he's an actor. Like all of these people are sick. Like, and again, it's also like they're put in situations where like,
You're like, wait, this actor appeared to be a different person than who they are.
yeah, that,
They were acting.
wow, they're only pretending to be good, decent human beings. Anyway, so again, all of it, just to be clear, it's not funny. But fuck you, Josiah.
Well, my revenge to you is I've saved an absolutely atrocious cover for the end.
Oh, great.
It's truly awful. It has 12 views. Andrew Chow. This is another one where it's really a visual experience. But
Okay.
this is a boy who has released a guitar cover in his room. He seems to be reading the guitar parts as he plays. It's wonderfully inept. But what I really love about it is just the visuals. But we'll talk about that after. I'm just going to play you a little bit of this and then
Okay.
we'll talk about it. There's parts later on where he fully stops and you just hear the guitar in the background and then he sort of like tries to stumble back into the song. I gotta say, I love that the video starts with the song already playing and then he pauses it and then he like slides out his keyboard drawer and then like bashes it back in. But mostly I love with videos like this is when they position the camera so that it's basically like an upskirt sort of video. Like this boy is wearing basketball shorts that you can practically see all the way up his thigh. His smooth thigh.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to do the like just the guitar shot, but like in fact it's primarily a thigh and ball shot. It is also
His t-shirt says Navy Powerlifting, which is pretty cool.
Sick.
I love that there's Christmas decorations all around.
Yeah.
All around him. But my favorite thing, I don't know if you noticed this little detail, but to the right of his elbow, there's just a woman's face printed on a blanket.
what? No, I didn't.
It's like one of those like you can pay to get like a blanket made at Staples with a creepy giant picture of your loved one. It's just like maybe I'd like to think it's his mom smiling on it. So proud of him for being so good at guitar.
Yeah, you can only see it sometimes. Like when he moves his arm, she like pops into view, and it's very haunted.
I think this is the best cover. I forgot to say if I was down. I'm very down with this.
Yeah, I could not. I'm right down those shorts and right down with this cover.
It did remind me of what you said in the past, which is like, why, if you can't play guitar yet, there's no shame in learning guitar, but why are you uploading it?
Yeah, like you just don't need to document everything. But again, it's a different generation, you know?
Right.
So, Josiah, final thoughts, finally, on The Only Thing That Matters by Blink-182.
Well, when you listen to last week's episode, you're going to realize that actually it's very on topic the whole time and very like directly about things related to the song.
Right.
And I realize right now that I love when there's not very much about the song and I can see like fucked up horse videos and old men singing in church. And I can see all kinds of creepy videos of children and like upskirt guitar covers. So I kind of like the obscure songs are a good excuse to sort of dig into the net a little bit.
Yeah.
As for the song, I don't know. I'll probably never think about it again.
So, yeah, I mean, I I love the Skiba verse. I love Real Big Fish. So like, if this song was just like, if I could be like a Blink-182 improver, I would make an edit of this song that was just like that verse over and over and over again for like, 3 minutes. I'm not like a psychopath. And I think that would be great. I think otherwise it's kind of filler around like a sick Marilyn Manson / Aaron Barrett reference. But otherwise I just want to say that I can't believe that I was looking forward to this. I like...
And it's important to also, I just remember when you said the word filler, it made me think filling, which reminded me of that dentist DIY video. It's important to make sure that you brush and floss regularly. And I must confess I'm not much of a flosser, but hopefully I can go to that guy's backyard and get a cleaning.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that really in the end, Blink-152, kind of like how... no one knew what the Dark Carnival was when ICP started and the Joker cards. And it was like, what is it? And then it turned out it was God. I like to think that when we finally get to episode 155, people are ultimately going to realize that this podcast was about dental hygiene. And so,
Right.
please
Yeah.
get your teeth cleaned. It's important.
You don't want to wind up in some guy's fucking backyard in a lawn chair with a tortoise doll.
In a Blink-182 lyric video, getting raked in the third hour of the internet's fourth most popular Blink-182 podcast.
It's a day I will never forget. The day I made a promise. And our lives really began.